Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today for the MDI Steps to District Administration for 2020-21. We are very, very happy that you can join us this afternoon. So just a few things to remind everybody about our platform for today. So this is our first time doing a training webinar on Zoom. So we are asking all of you for a bit of kindness and understanding as we also try to learn how to use Zoom in our future webinars. As an attendee, you have access to 3 different icons that you will see on your screen. So there's the Q&A. Maria will be on the lookout for any of the questions. So if you have any questions all throughout the webinar, please let us know. Use the Q&A function. There's also the raise hand function if you have really urgent questions and you're happy or okay to be unmuted maybe, or for Maria maybe to really directly chat with you if there's any burning questions. And of course, if you also want to get to communicate with all the other participants, the chat function is also available for you to use. And now I will turn it to Merit for the next few sections of our presentation. And I will be also turning off my video so that you guys can see the slides a little bit better.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for showing up today. Really, really appreciate you all taking the time. I am also going to turn off my video. I'm just keeping it on until, here we go. And I just want to start off welcoming you all, but also just to acknowledge that those of us who are here in Vancouver are gathered today on the traditional, ancestral, and ceded territory of the Musqueam people. We are not on UBC campus today, but spread across in our homes. But you have already seen our faces a little bit, but I will go on to just a quick introduction of who your MDI team is this year. You might all know me by now. My name is Merit Gilbert. I am the implementation manager this year, and I am covering from Madison Spenrath, who is currently on mat leave. She will be back in March, just when we are hopefully done administering the MDI. So I think she planned it really well. And Maddie and I have both been involved with the MDI project since 2013. And you've already seen now Kim. Many of you have been communicating with both Kim M as well as Maria. And Kim is the MDI lead and your main contact for the project this year, and has been working on the MDI for the last couple of years as well. And prior to working on the MDI, she worked very closely with Dr. Kim Schonet-Reichel as her assistant. So she is really quite knowledgeable about the MDI. And Maria joined the MDI team earlier this year, but previously also worked at HELP as our front desk and admin assistant. And she is currently the MDI coordinator and will help you, or will try and answer questions if you have them, if you want to type them in. We will make some breaks throughout this whole thing too. So if you do have questions that are sort of very topical and relevant, we'll try to address them while we're there in the presentation. So who are we here at HELP? We are the Human Early Learning Partnership. We are an interdisciplinary research center at the University of British Columbia. And I just want to, again, gratitude to all of you for being here and for your staff and educators for participating in the MDI over the years, as well as your students who are really making, by participating in this study, are making a significant contribution to research in British Columbia. So a little quick overview of what we hope to cover today. I will do a quick refresher of the MDI, the background of the MDI, and also share some successful strategies for launching the MDI in your school districts. Then Kim will take over and look a little bit closer at things like timeline, how to best prepare for data collection, and then go through a few more detailed steps. We do have a couple of districts that are not new. We don't have any, I should say, rephrase this. We don't have any new districts to the MDI this year, but we do have some districts who have not participated for a couple of years. So we will highlight some of the things that have happened since you last participated. And we do make improvements. We really try to make improvements to the MDI each year based on the feedback that we gather through our formal surveys, as well as all the feedback we gather while we talk to you and we are in implementation. So we love to hear from you at the district level, as well as from your schools and from your parents. This was us, I guess, a year ago when we were in our office at UBC. It makes me really miss it when I see this picture. But please be in touch. We are, all three of us, really trying this year to email and be in touch with everybody, because we know it's going to be a little bit of a different year and a little tricky. So please don't hesitate to ask us questions if you have any. So I'll just do a quick, very brief overview of the MDI, some of the key messages on the MDI. We do have other webinars that we have hosted in the past that will cover things like the middle years context and data trends, as well as ideas for using the MDI data as a foundation for better connectedness with your students. And we have many recordings that we have on our Discover MDI site that we will show you later on, where you can also find lots of more information if you so desire. So why do we need this information on children's well-being? Well, a couple of studies, and a recent study by Kessler found that the median age of onset for anxiety and impulse control disorders was age 11, and that half of all lifetime mental health disorders start by age 14. And often the first person who can identify early mental wellness issues is the classroom teacher, yet teachers are not often trained to recognize the signs. For example, 1 in 5 children or youth have significant mental health problems, yet only 25% receive services. And Canada spends about $14.4 billion annually on the treatment of mental illness. And the Canadian Psychiatric Association in 2001 estimated that mental illness will be the leading healthcare cost in the country by 2020, which reading that data right now seems a little very timely, should I say. So our current context is really that now is a time like no other for us to be focusing our attention on children's health and well-being, that the stress and disruption brought about by COVID-19 are of a real concern. And particularly for those children that are more vulnerable and are at risk of experiencing increased challenges. So understanding the short-term influences of COVID-19 is essential, as is collecting data related to the long-term impacts of the pandemic on children and families. The MDI really, this is where the MDI comes in. It really provides us with an opportunity to hear from children themselves about their self-reported well-being and the assets and protective factors in their lives that will be valuable as they navigate through this unprecedented time. So just what is the MDI? Well, it is a self-report survey for children in grades 4 to 8. And this is really our biggest news for 2020-21, is that as a response to many requests that we have had over the years, actually, was to be able to offer the MDI to other grades. So this year we will offer the MDI to grade 5, 6, and 8 in addition to grade 4 and 7. And this is the first time ever. And we are really quite excited that many districts have taken us up on this offer this year. So the grade 4 survey, so the way we have done it, we have not created a bunch of new surveys. The grade 4 survey from the past will be used for grade 5s as well. And the grade 7 survey will be used in grades 6, 7, and 8. So why this age group? Why grade 4 to 8 students? Why not older students? The answer really is that these ages are particularly important to be able to prevent problems before they arise. That the time between grade 4 and grade 8, the ages 9 to 13, is a transitional period in development in which we know there is increased risk, but also increased opportunity to make a difference in children's lives. And previous research has also found that responses from children in grade 4 and above are as reliable and valid as responses from adults. So the MDI was developed by a UBC research team that was led by Dr. Kimberly Schoenert-Reichel with considerable input from children, parents, teachers, community groups, including the United Way of the Lower Mainland. And questions were assembled from surveys that had previously been used and validated with children. The MDI is a population-based survey, so it tells us only about groups, neighborhoods, or broader geographic regions. It is not used as an individual diagnostic tool. It really allows us to see population trends in children's well-being. And also, I should mention, it is never used to evaluate teachers or schools. The MDI allows us to see trends in how children are doing over time. The results from the MDI provide educators, parents, researchers, community organizations, and policymakers with information about the psychological and social worlds of children during middle childhood. This is a time period in childhood in which we previously didn't have a lot of information about this time period, and this is really one of the main reasons why the MDI was developed. So middle childhood, as I'm sure you all know, is a time of transition. Cognitively, children become more self-aware and more aware of others. Socially, children's worlds begin expanding as connections to peers become increasingly important. And academically, children begin receiving grades and face pressure to succeed. And physically, children are entering puberty. So really what happens during the middle years sets children up for how they handle adolescence and adulthood. The MDI looks at the development of the whole child, which means it's capturing the holistic development beyond academic achievement. It looks at children in multiple contexts, as we ask children about their lives, both inside and outside of school, so that the information is relevant for schools, communities, and families. So just to give you an idea of how the MDI has grown since 2009, 2010, we currently have in British Columbia, we have data on almost 138,000 children. And I'm going to show you next who is participating this year. We have 26 districts in British Columbia signed up to participate this year with various grades. And then nationally as well, because we also have guests, I believe, from across the country on our webinar today. We have Chignecto Central Regional Center in Nova Scotia participating, as well as Algonquin Lakeshore Catholic School District in Ontario, Northwest Territories, as well as the French district in Yukon. And also there's a few more districts in Ontario that are participating by licensing the MDI. So there's quite a bit of uptake, which is very exciting for us here. I wonder if I should just do a quick little pause, because I know we're trying to cover a lot in this hour that we have with you, and we really want to make some room for questions at the end. So if there are any questions, let me know.
I don't see any as of yet.
Okay. We'll just keep moving along then, if that's okay with everyone. So the MDI measures areas of development that are strongly linked to well-being, such as social and emotional development, physical health and well-being, connectedness, school experiences, and use of after-school time. And one of the big changes for those of you who participated last year might remember this, but for others, we did add some new questions last year, but it all started with us removing a couple of questions first. So in our efforts to make sure that the MDI is current, scientifically rigorous, and that all the information collected on the surveys reflect the experiences and perspectives of today's youth, we received a lot of feedback over the years, especially 2 years ago, from both educators and parents that were concerned about our body image and weight questions on the MDI. They felt our questions were outdated and did not accurately reflect recent science and practice with regards to assessment of body image and weight for children. And it also made students feel uncomfortable or self-conscious. So based on this feedback, we consulted extensively with parents and educators, health experts, and children. And following this whole consultation process, we decided to move 3 questions from both the grade 4 and grade 7 survey. Those were the questions that asked students specifically about body image and weight. But of course, we saw this as an opportunity to introduce 3 new questions on the MDI that could provide important information to schools and communities that reflect current well-being and health issues relevant to those stakeholders who have a vested interest in promoting children's health and well-being. So the 3 new questions selected for the MDI ask children then about school transportation, how they get to and from school and how they wish they could get to and from school, as well as help seeking for social and emotional well-being. So questions like who they would talk to if they were feeling sad, stressed, or worried. So these questions can provide adults at home and in school and in the community information to support children's healthy physical activity, safe transportation to and from school, as well as information about how to better support students' help seeking and social and emotional health. So here maybe we can show the questions just for a very quick. So this is really the help seeking question. And then we also have the one about how to get to and from school. So that was really one of our biggest changes to the MDI last year. There were some other small ones too, but that was, I think, the more significant one. Yeah. Any questions on that?
No questions yet, Mart.
Okay. We'll just keep rolling along here. So I know some people are really looking for some strategies on how to launch the MDI in their schools. I can tell you that from experience where we see that there is most uptake and most success in the collecting of the data and administering the MDI is really where districts have informed their school administrators. So all your school administrators know that the MDI is taking place, they're on board, they know why it's important, maybe by showing connections between the MDI and school district or school goals. In British Columbia, showing how the MDI aligns with personal and social competencies in the curriculum. But also where your parents are on board, that parents actually know they have received the information letter, they get information about the MDI through various venues, such as school newsletters, websites, social media, that it's really kind of a bit of a, where it is promoted, usually we get the bigger buy-in. So if you can, I hope your principals all know about the MDI. And to make it easy for you, or easier, I'm not saying anything of this is easy, there's a lot of resources that we give you and a lot of information that we give you. But we have tried to sort of put it into packages. So we have, in October, we sent out what we call our principal package, which has supporting resources. And we really hope that you have had a chance to distribute this to your principals. So yes, it has like a template for a newsletter announcement. It has a checklist for administrators, and even a letter that you can use, copy, paste, and send to your administrators. Of course, put your own personal touch to it, but we hope that we have managed to put some of these together in a package for you. So the next package, actually, I should say, I think most of you received it yesterday or today, was what we call then the survey administrator package, which Kim will cover much more of what was in that shortly. But we have really tried to make this in a way that you can take our templates and use them. All right, so another great video that we don't really have time to show, but it's a great way to introduce the MDI to your teachers and principals, and you can also share it with your parents. And we will, when we send out the recording of this webinar, we can also add some of these useful links to that email as well. Yeah, we have a fact sheet for that explains the alignment with personal and social competencies and shows how the MDI measures fit within the personal and social competencies here in British Columbia. Yeah, we have, this is your, if anybody, you know, this is the newsletter template that you can then use on your webpage and to use to inform your parents again that the MDI will take place. And then, of course, we have our Discover MDI website where we have lots of resources. We have quick sheets, we have workshop materials, we have MDI lesson plan ideas, lots and lots of information is there. And this becomes almost, or also very important in the spring when you receive your reports and you want to know what to do with the data. There's lots of ideas on Discover MDI. So I think I'm going to take a little break and hand you over to Kim, who will cover a bit more of the administration of the MDI. But again, any questions so far?
Nothing yet.
All right, thanks, Maria. I think we have a question. Is there a question?
I saw a raised hand from Karen. Oh, we have two raised hands.
So let's see, should we unmute you or do you want to type it in?
Let me see if I can.
Karen, I've unmuted Karen.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
I think I did. Yeah. Karen, can you talk? Does it work? No?
Okay, maybe we'll get back to her question. Okay. We'll figure out how to unmute her.
Sorry, this is the first time we're doing this and we're all. But if you want to type your question into the chat box or the questions, that would be great. Then we can try to answer. Okay, we're good.
All good?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay, sorry.
Oh. Okay, so we'll do the question a little bit later. So we should go to the third section of the presentation. Hello, is that Karen? I can hear.
Are we unmuted now?
Yes, you are.
Oh gosh. Well, we just sent the question, but we were just wondering if the principals package was sent directly to the principals or whether it was sent to the contacts, the liaisons.
So yes, Merit, go ahead.
I should let you answer, Kim. Anyways, it was sent to the district contacts, your liaison. Yeah, it has not, we don't actually get in touch with principals and teachers directly. We tend to work through our district contacts.
Okay, thank you.
We also have a question from Melanie. She's asking about if we have a solution for if they are remote learning from home.
Okay, Kim, do you want me to try and answer this?
Yes, please.
I think we, you know, as much as the intent really is to do the MDI in person in the classroom, but this year is certainly unprecedented, and we recognize that. We don't have a confirmed any alternate plans currently, It is something that is coming up, and we have extended the survey window to 8 weeks in the hopes that this will give districts a bit more flexibility. But we wouldn't mind hearing from districts how even this would work for you if we were to try and sort this out. So I guess my answer is we don't have a process currently. We are talking about it, but it is a bit tricky with the MDI because it really is a classroom. It's intent to be done in person in the classroom and not with the students, with a teacher administering it. So I don't really have a good answer currently to that question, unfortunately.
We have a question from Richard. He's asking if transitional learners do complete the survey, can the data be disaggregated?
Richard, do you mean disaggregated as in like individual? It's always aggregated. So I'm not sure how we would never divide it. We would never do it in a way that you could know what the student, know who a student is. So, yeah, we could unmute you, possibly. We could try.
Hi, is that working?
Is that Richard?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Okay, I thought it'd be easier if I just asked a question instead of trying to type it in.
Yeah.
Even if it was disaggregated only to the entire district or something, we're really concerned about the well-being of some of our students that are in transitional learning, and whether it goes into the neighborhoods that you show in the reports, or even just at a district level, it could give us some really valuable data that we want to see, especially if COVID just keeps going, later into the year.
So Richard, I would love to touch base with you on how that would work. Maybe we could take that conversation offline too, because I think we would just need to know how we would recognize the transitional learners, and maybe we could do I don't know if this is even possible, if there was a report we could do that had them in it, but we couldn't give it to you at an individual level.
No, we wouldn't need the individual level. It could be even the entire district. But yes, I'd be happy to connect at another time.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Please send me an email.
Okay, will do.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have any more questions?
And Melanie, I see your,
Right.
I also feel like that's something that we will be in touch with you about. It's really great to get everybody's feedback. We were really hoping to get some of this feedback today so that we learn from you as well, so that we can see if there is something that we can do to make it easier for everyone.
Wonderful. Okay, so it looks like we can move to the next section. We'll take breaks in between as well to make sure that we have space and time for more questions along the way. But for now, let's look at the timeline for district administration. So this section, you can see this is a screenshot from the timeline PDF that we have sent to the district administrators. And at this point now in November, we are currently in the process of getting the student information from MyEd to be uploaded onto our system. So once all of those are ready, hopefully we're looking at that around sometime next week, you will receive either a password reset email or an email from our team to let you know that you are now able to log into the system so that you can review those. You also would have received an email yesterday or earlier today, the one that Merritt was mentioning, the survey administrator package, as well as different links to all of the resources that we are actually showing to you right now here in the webinar. One thing to also really remember, especially for last week of November, early December, is to make sure that the parent information letters are sent home within those times. So we're really encouraging that the parent letters go out last week of November, first week of December, if we want to start survey administration on January 11th. And I will cover more information about the parent letters shortly, later on. One thing that we encourage you to also join us and participate in is the Survey Administrator Training Webinar, which for this year is scheduled on January 7th. So I believe that in some of the resources that we've sent out in the emails, the registration link has already been provided. So that's a link that you can also share with your teachers and school principals so that they can join that webinar as well. And one thing to maybe remember, put in on your desktop or maybe highlight in your calendar, the survey administration is from January 11th to March 5th for this implementation period. Okay, so before we get into any of the other details about MDI administration, again, we just want to express our gratitude and to thank everybody for taking on this role in your district. We know that everyone is really stretched with time and with everything that we are dealing with. And just to know that we really cannot make MDI a success without all of you. And of course, help is here to guide you, to help you, and to provide you with ongoing support and resources to make sure that administration is smooth within your districts and your schools as well. I'm very happy to say that our MDI administration portal, so this one you will find in our Discover MDI website, it's now up and ready. So this also has a section for school administrators, and we really encourage you to check this out. This is like your one-stop shop for all of the resources that you will need for administering the MDI. So for example, if you can find in your emails the resources that were sent out for the principal package, or you want to find a newsletter template, once again, all the links are housed in this portal in our Discover MDI website. All right, so what do we do next? We know our role, we understand the timeline. So next, make sure, number one, that your principals know about the MDI and also the administration dates. I'm pretty sure that most of you have had check-ins and meetings with your school principals, and I know that some of you have already started really putting the information out there that the implementation time would be from January 11th to March 5th. We really encourage you to remind them as well to book the computer time for, the computer lab time. We know that sometimes it might be already booked, so we really want to encourage you to just do this earlier on. We always suggest that the MDI take 1 to 2 class periods to complete. So maybe for your grade 4 students, make it a double period. And for, say, grade 7 and 8 students, they can finish it in 1 class period. But again, this depends on the student or on the child. And also, please take into account that logging in and prepping everything takes about 10 to 15 minutes at the very beginning. The survey also works if there's iPads, netbooks, and tablets in the school. We encourage, again, please send the parent letters out to schools to send home before winter break is our ideal recommendation. So the MDI project uses the informed passive consent, which means the parents and guardians are asked to withdraw their child if they do not want their child to participate. So this letter is also made available in 12 different languages. And so basically, any parent, if they don't want their child involved in the project, they can let their teachers know in the school. They can email us or call us directly, as long as it is within the 4 weeks of receiving the letter, and then we'll, by all means, we'll withdraw the student from, or the child from the project. Okay. So for the survey administrator package, that we have sent out to you yesterday or earlier this morning. There are 2 information letters that we really would like to be sent out to schools. So number 1 is the administrator letter. And this one is a letter with MDI information that goes to both the teachers and the principal, so any survey administrator in the school. And it's also followed by the informed passive consent or the parent letter. So for both of these templates that you will receive, we recommend that you check out the part that is highlighted in yellow, I think, or green on the letter. So this is where you can put your school district letterhead. We really encourage you to also put the local district contact so that if any school teachers or principals have any questions, they know where to go. And again, if we would like the MDI survey to be administered on January 11th, we encourage that the parent letters go out on the week of November 30th to December 4th. The most important thing to remember here is that we want parents to have at least 4 weeks. We would like to make sure that they have 4 weeks in between from when they receive the letter and when the survey is implemented. We translate the parent letter, as I've mentioned, into 11 of the most common languages, and these are all available to you. If you go to the admin portal, there's links for all of them over there so that it's easier for you to access them. We also encourage that you send the parent letters home with the parent info sheet. And this one is also, there's also a link for this in our admin portal. For any questions that you get from parents, most commonly asked questions that we've received all throughout the years, we have a parent FAQ page, and all of these links for our resources and for our web pages will be shared with you once we have the link for this recorded video ready. So another screenshot that we have here, so you'll see here all the frequently asked questions. Once you click on them, all the information that you will need will be provided for you there. And of course, you can always let us know or email us if there's anything that's hard to find on the admin portal or in terms of the questions that you receive. One other resource that is very useful is the MDI questions brief. So we have created this to summarize the question topics that is on the MDI. And this brief actually serves 2 purposes. So number 1, it gives the parents more information about the MDI and the kind of questions that we ask. We heard from parents that they want to be prepared for the questions that the children will come home with. So this brief describes some of the questions and the rationale in more detail. Another reminder is that in January, when the MDI survey is happening in the school, it also mentions that the letter should go out before Christmas. Okay, so maybe let's stop right there and see if we have any questions.
We had one question about the date of the training.
Right.
In the handout, it's the 9th, and in the slide, it mentioned the 7th.
I have to check my calendar, but Maria, you probably would know this better than me. Is it on the 9th?
I believe it's the 9th.
Wait a minute. You're talking January 9th? No, that's a Saturday. So I think it's on the 7th, you guys. I think we have just somehow made a typo. Good catch. I love that people
Yeah, I love that everybody's really like tuning in and looking at our slides. I love it.
Yeah, we are, I have to admit, we were a little bit flying by the seat of our pants here. So apologies if that was a typo, but we will correct it. It is, our survey administrator webinar is on the 7th.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other questions before we move on to the next part of our presentation?
We did have one from Richard, but he had to leave. He was asking about the class lists because they're all in quarters. So he was wondering, are they going to take the entire grade 8 class list and go from there?
So I can try to answer this, but he's no longer here. But for those of you, I should let you know, we are receiving most of the class list information from MyEdBC. And I understand that maybe, and we've learned this in the past, that sometimes with middle schools, or now maybe high schools, that we do get the data in a little bit different format than we would in a regular elementary school. What we usually do in this case is we actually get in touch with the principal at the school and ask for a little bit of help of sort of cleaning up the class list so that we have correct class lists. So I hope that answers but you could expect to hear from us if your class list is really messy. Sometimes what happens is that principals who log in call us because they go, no, this students are in the wrong groups. So we usually spend December and January cleaning that up.
Right. Any other questions? All right, I think we're good. Okay, so for the next part or next section, we're looking at the steps to MDI administration in schools. This is a screenshot, a copy of the survey administrator timeline and checklist. So we heard from a lot of principals and teachers that they love checklists. And of course, all the information, it's easier to look at if it's like in a one-pager. So we have created this one, and all of the basic information, the timeline as well, and the links are all in the document. So it'll be easy for you to have a quick overview of what the survey administrators really need to know and the steps that you need to take in order to administer the survey in your classrooms. So here's a quick look on how it will look like for January and February. So these are things that we have mostly mentioned today. All of the links that are also in this PDF form are linked to the admin portal and to the resources that you will need. So it's easy for you to access them. All right, and this is a broad overview of teacher and principal administration, and this is covered in more detail in some of our training materials. And of course, we'll look at the e-system a little bit more closely come January when we have our training webinar. So attend training or watch the training video once you log into our system. We're asking the teachers and principals to tell the students that the MDI is happening in their school so they are aware about the MDI before they actually do or participate in the survey. Review the class list, and as Merit just mentioned, like when she answered Richard's question, you can go into the system and once you see the classrooms, then teachers and principals have also access. When they see the classrooms, they're able to remove or move the students into groups where they need to be. Print off the student logins and unlock the survey. You can also prep a different activity for the students who are not participating. And after administration, follow up with the student help requests. And this section will be covered in more detail a little bit later. So one thing that we are really, like happy and proud to add onto the MDI, this has been also in the system already for last year, but just a good thing to refresh your memory on. We have added an assent cartoon in addition to the regular assent script at the beginning of the survey. And this cartoon looks like this. So this is added to make sure that it is also really friendly to students, that they can choose not to answer any questions if they don't want to, and that the survey is voluntary, and that their answers are confidential. So because the MDI asks students some rather personal questions like how they think, how they feel, what their lives inside and outside the school are like, and about their relationships with peers and adults, we know that it is critical to make sure that the students know that they can speak to a caring adult in their school if they're having any problems. And so for our Help for Student page, so this page is something that they will see at the very end of the survey. They can press the first blue button there, and that would say that they would like to talk to the principal or to the teacher. And we also added the Kids Help phone information in here. So we want to really recommend to check your email for any student help requests. And of course, follow your school's protocol to follow up with the students. Now, once the students click on this blue, the top blue button, you will receive an email that has all this information. And of course, it has the student, it only has the student name. We want to make sure that there's only very little, like information about the student that's on there. But we also have the context that we have here so that you are aware where this email is coming from or why you're receiving it. Okay, so as I've mentioned, the e-MDI website will be live soon. Once we get all the student information from MyEd, you will have the ability to log in, to look at your districts, to look at the schools and the information on there. And we will send you a password reset email once those are ready, and we are looking at that sometime around next. There are a few different level of users who use the e-MDI system. So we at HELP have access to everything, so we can help you if ever you do need it. District contacts, you, as I mentioned, will get access by sometime next week. Teachers and principals will get access in January, just before implementation. And as mentioned, when you log in, you are also able to really track the MDI progress of your schools, as well as who has completed it and who needs more follow-up. Okay, so another feature, not to, of course, we don't want to make more work for anyone, but really simply, we want to have another reminder on our system when you log in as district admins. There is a pop-up window that will appear that asks you when parent letters are sent to school or home. So you just need to add the date if you know it. But of course, it also doesn't mean that if you don't add it, you will not be able to access the system. You will still be able to do it. It just will pop up every time you log in, just to remind you and to make sure that the parent letters are actually really sent home. Once again, our help website is a really good resource to direct parents to if they have any questions, as well as if they would like to see the questionnaires or the survey questions. We have a button here that says MDI questionnaires. You can lead them there and they will see a copy of the survey questions. All right, and once we are all done with implementation, you can expect reports to come in the spring of 2021. So that's when you get a school report. You have the school district and community reports. So usually the school reports are available by end of April, and we try to get the school district and community reports available by around end of May. As mentioned, our next webinar is on January 7. I believe we have already sent out the registration link for this, so please register if you have not done so. And we're ready to take more questions if you have any.
I think we've pretty much answered the questions in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll jump in just with a quick thank you, Jennifer, for the question about the Help for Student email. That email only goes to the teacher that is in the system and the principal at the school. And we actually don't see those emails. Only if there is a bounce back or for some reason the teacher email is not working, do we actually get it. And in which case then we contact the school just to make sure that, the student gets to talk to an adult. I mean, very often this is really, it is nothing. Like, I shouldn't say that, but sometimes it's just somebody wanted help with homework and they press that button. But there are also times when a student really needs help. So that's why we have it there. And there is a way for somebody at the school to follow up with the student. Okay, and Jackie has a question. Administration guide. Yeah, it will be coming soon, Jackie. I'm thinking within the next week or so. We just need our system up and running properly so that we can make sure all our screenshots are up to date. Mm-hmm. So I would say within a week.
Yeah, I think I'll be ready.
It's really for when you are in the classroom administering the survey. So probably won't need it until a little bit closer to the date of implementation, but we are working hard to get it ready for you. And yes, again, if parents request withdrawal, teachers, administrators can remove them from the student class list. Honestly, we do withdrawals up until we are in implementation. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes parents hear about it, they might not have heard about it the first time around, or so we just remove students as we hear that they want to be withdrawn. We make sure that they are withdrawn. So there's no dateline no time on that.
Yeah, and in Jackie's question too, if teachers, or I guess you mean district administrators, can withdraw the student, they can do that in the system too.
Yeah.
Any other burning questions?
And yes, if a parent requests withdrawal, so these are great questions, by the way. So if a parent emails us because they want to withdraw their child, sometimes they CC the teacher, sometimes they don't. What we do is we withdraw the student right away and we confirm with the parent that we have withdrawn the student. And then we also send an email to the teacher just to let the teacher know that the student has been withdrawn. We never give a reason. It's basically a student's been withdrawn, and just make sure nobody adds that student back in. I actually don't think you can do that anymore either. So that's a feature that we have built into our system, that once a student is withdrawn, then that's it. Does that help? Great.
Perfect.
we are happy to stay on for as long as you want, or, you know, I totally understand people are busy, but we'll just hang out here for a bit longer, just in case you come up with other questions or anything else that's burning. And like I said at the beginning, don't hesitate to be in touch. You can pick up the phone, send us an email. We will do our best to answer all your questions. And we are really here as your help and support during implementation. And especially this year, we know it's going to be a little bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
We had one more from Melanie. She's a question from our senior district team was with regards to whether or not the admin timeline would be able to be shifted in the event that COVID-19 numbers intensify in our province and local area, and if they had to shift all students and teachers to remote learning.
Melanie, I love it. Can I just say you are the second district that have asked me this question today. It is something we will have to discuss. We have, the MDI is not the only survey that we actually do. And one of the things that we have heard before from districts is really how important it is to get the reports back in the same school year as the MDI is taken. So what the danger of moving the MDI, say, to after spring break or later in the spring, when hopefully we can all be back to more normal living, the danger of that is we probably, as a team here at UBC, will not be able to provide you with the student data in time for, you know, your school year and your planning. So that's the trick from our end of our side of things, is just how we could actually do that. And I cannot make any promises on that I just don't know yet. And it is a bit tricky. Because the turnaround for creating reports, and you know, as you might know, but your district report you don't get until end of May already. So we're really trying to get those reports out in the same school year. But we are making notes of all this great feedback, because this is a very different year, and we are really trying to I guess trying to evolve along with everybody else and adapt to rules as they are as they change and as numbers change, and so not a great answer, but that's what I got. But I love your questions, and I love that we had people from back east stay up during their dinner and participate. So really appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, everyone. I think unless there are any more questions now, we are going to sign off.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today.